What's up everyone, it's your FPL Thinking Cap Benji here, and in today's Meta Moves video, we're going to be talking about the best Trent replacements. We're going to be talking about Bukayo Saka. Is he overhyped? Is he underrated? We've also got a wildcard 12 draft that we're going to take a look at, and I've found a meta differential who's going to help you climb overall rank. Thinking Cap activated. We're going to switch it up today, and we're going to start off with the sleeper selection for Game Week 12, Joao Pedro. Our sleeper selections have been banging recently. Cunha, Damsgaard, Wisa have all produced returns, so when I tell you that Joao Pedro is the next guy up, I'm being deadly serious, okay guys? I'm telling you, 5.4 million, and he's currently got thousands of managers turning their heads after he was involved in both Brighton goals against Manchester City. He's only started 3 times this season because of an injury, but before that happened, his minutes were really strong. I think it was like 88, 90, 90. Brighton coach Fabian Herzeler also has come out and said that Joao Pedro is one of their most important players for the future, and that he is in essence their talisman. What we can take out of this is that when he's fit, he's gonna play. So if you're worried about minutes, I wouldn't be too concerned about that. One of the reasons why JP is such a good asset is because we know for sure 100% that he's on penalties for Brighton. So off base value, you're paying 5.4 million for penalties from a top 8 side, which is incredible value for money. If we look at his stats from 3 starts this season, he's actually sitting 3rd out of all forwards for big chances created per 90. He's sitting 2nd behind Cunha for baseline bonus per 90. And when we look at his post-shot XG, which measures finishing efficiency, he's also sitting in the top 4. And one of the main reasons why his creative threat and his baseline BPS is so high is because he's doing a very similar job to Cunha at Wolves. He's playing basically as the number 10 role, so he's hitting more passing tiers, he's got much bigger assist threat, and he's creating those chances compared to the other strikers at his price point. So you're getting bonus potential, you're getting creative threat, and you're getting pens with Joao Pedro. If we look at the fixtures, obviously Bournemouth away isn't a good entrance point. It's not that great of a fixture, but he's got Southampton at home in Game Week 13, and he's also facing Leicester in 15 and Palace in 16. So Brighton have good attacking fixtures coming, and I think it's a smart play to buy him nice and cheap before a load of the other guys get their hands on him. There's a few concerns with JP. His injury record isn't great, and obviously we're heading into the busiest, most congested part of the season, but I think there's too much upside with him as a pick. If he's able to stay fit for 85% of Brighton's next 10 games, you're going to miss out on a bucket load of points. Okay, so let's have a discussion about Bukayo Saka. I think there's a lot of people out there who are kind of hesitating on getting him and backing Saka because of the price and because Arsenal have looked pretty disappointing, but Arsenal have played very tough fixtures. You know, when Arteta said in that interview, nobody has played the away fixtures we have, it's true. Nobody has, and Saka's walking out of those fixtures, sitting inside the top 8 midfielders for big chances created, shots on target, baseline bonus, post-shot XG, and he's in the top 4 midfielders for non-pen XGI per 90 at 0.65, which is actually more than Cole Palmer. In Arsenal's next 8 fixtures, they face West Ham, Everton, and Ipswich, not to mention that most of the fixture tickers have them at the very top with the best long-term fixtures in the league. Combine Saka's underlying stats with his upcoming fixtures, and I think he's the most slept on FPL asset right now. Over the past 2 seasons, Saka's been one of the most consistent players, and if you're looking to go against Haaland, you need consistency in your midfield. You need it, guys. You have to have it. Most Haaland guys, they're going to get to, Salah and Palmer and Haaland, but they won't have space for Saka. So backing Bukayo is basically your edge on these Haaland teams, and considering that not many premium defenders are scoring consistent points, the cheap forwards are also smashing it right now, and it looks like just having that extra beacon of consistency in your midfield is the optimal move going forwards, at least for me. And now, there's a couple things to watch out for with Saka. We've already seen Arteta protect him this season more than last season, which means that lower minutes, earlier subs, and surprise rotations are now possible. And this definitely does lower Saka's captaincy appeal a little bit, but he's a very durable asset. He can play a lot of minutes, and he's someone I'm personally looking to invest in as soon as possible. Trent Alexander-Arnold picked up an injury. Surprise, surprise. The Liverpool guy lets me down again. It looked like he pulled his hamstring against Aston Villa, but I don't really have any new information on the time frame of that injury. I think he is definitely a sell now because of how expensive he is. You can't leave a 7 million defender to rot on your bench. It's just not worth it for me, and so I've made this list of my favorite replacements. If you wanted to go to someone more expensive, perhaps you could consider an Arsenal defender or maybe a Liverpool defender, but I think there's fixtures coming up which point to heavier investment in attacking positions, like Chelsea. They've got 2 promoted teams in the next 3. United have Ipswich plus Everton next, and Newcastle also have some great attacking fixtures. So I really would be just coming down from Trent all the way to an under 5 million asset, and all of the 8 options I've got here are under 5 million. Lewis Hall is currently my favorite budget guy to pick up at the moment. Newcastle's next 10 fixtures rank just 9th in the league from a clean sheets perspective. But if you look at Hall as a long-term pick, someone you can own, game week 20 and beyond, I think he's the standout option. Only 4.4 million, and Hall ranks first with the strongest baseline bonus. He's also second in terms of the best XGI per 90 so far, and so he's only sitting behind Ryan Aït-Nouri. And look, I like Aït-Nouri as a pick, but Wolves, they looked pretty poor against Southampton. I don't see many clean sheets for Aït-Nouri coming up. I'm just going to be honest. And he's already gone in 5 GA this season. I don't really expect those returns to continue consistently, and that's why he's much lower on my personal rankings. Now, getting a Brighton defender is much more appealing. They've got the 3rd best fixture run in the next 10 out of all teams. And I do think they can actually pick up some clean sheets with, the Southampton game, Palace. I think Everton's in there as well. So if Dunk is fit, I do prefer him actually to Van Hecke, because Van Hecke just, he's just very, very defensive. You're not really going to get excited by watching Brighton if you have Van Hecke in your team, but I really wouldn't. I would go for him or Van Hecke over the fullbacks, just because Hurtzeller has already showed that, he's not really afraid to try new things in both of the fullback areas. He's got more quality in depth at left back and right back compared to in at center back, and obviously Dunk and Van Hecke are his clear first choices. So you're going to get the nailed minutes in the busiest part of the season, which is what you want. Levi Colwill is my favorite defender to invest in at Chelsea, but I haven't really liked what I've seen from Maresca's backline this season. Sanchez and Fofana, they don't fill me with any confidence, but the fixtures are nice, which is why Colwill is just a little bit higher above Robinson for me. Fulham's next 5 fixtures, they aren't very good, but from game week 18 onwards, they're really, really, really great. And I think if you have a pretty decent defense at the moment, you don't really have much to do, maybe you're sitting on 5 free transfers, then potentially what you could do is you could just prepare for the long term, get a Robinson or an Anderson in your 4th or 5th defender spot, and just get that in place early. I think that's a pretty smart decision. Obviously, Robinson is way more attacking, but interestingly, Anderson's baseline bonus is 2nd best on this list. So if Fulham do actually keep some clean sheets, you're going to get some bonus points from Anderson most likely. Lissandro, look, I love Lissandro, my butcher, but he's my least preferred budget option. He doesn't really have much attacking upside compared to the others, and after the next 2 Man United fixtures, it just gets much tougher with Arsenal and Forest. So I'd probably avoid him, as he's a very short-term pick with low upside, so I wouldn't probably go there unless if you are on wildcard, maybe that's a consideration. You want some United defense. Milos Kerkez from Bournemouth. He doesn't really stand out in any of the categories, but Bournemouth have great home fixtures coming. Brighton, Spurs, West Ham, then it's Palace and Everton. So it's a pretty nice home run. I would consider him, as he's very cheap, but I believe that Lewis Hall has greater attacking upside at the same price. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the Game Week 12 wildcard and my thoughts on how you should be setting up if you're using the chip this week. Let's start with a defense, and surprisingly, I'm not recommending double Arsenal defense. I've only got Gabriel in this draft. It's got nothing to do with the lack of clean sheets that Arsenal have seen in the last few weeks, but it's more to do with the fact that Ben White is out for 8 to 10 weeks with a knee injury. I've been talking to my friends who support Arsenal, and the consensus around the defense is that Timber isn't ready to play 3 games a week. Tomiyasu is nowhere to be found, which likely means that Thomas Partey will be starting at right back for a decent chunk of the winter schedule. And if you're going to sit there and tell me that you want to invest in Raya and Gabriel on wildcard 12 when Partey is going to be starting at right back, I'd probably say you're smoking crack. Look, I still think that Arsenal are a great defense. Top 2 with Liverpool for sure, but I also think that you can make the money count in attacking players right now, and by only going with one, you also open yourself up to a Calafiori or a Timber later down the line. Both are cheaper than Saliba and offer more attacking potential. I've also not included any Liverpool defenders in my draft, which it might seem a bit crazy, but I do think that this is the time to back against Liverpool defense. After the Southampton game, they've got Real Madrid, then Man City at home, then in game week 14 and 15, they travel away to Newcastle and then away to Everton, where they fumbled the title last season. So I think it's a good opportunity to go for a cheaper defense on wildcard. Just watch how Liverpool perform in the next 3, and then consider jumping on a Konate, an Alisson, or even a Trent, if you have the money. And the cheap defense I've gone for, it is quite reliable. Minutes are good all round, basically. And Anderson, we can start with him. He's pretty nailed. I know that Fulham have got tougher fixtures coming up, but you're going to want a piece of Fulham's defense in 6 or 7 weeks, and you're just saving a transfer by having him in. I do prefer Robinson to Anderson, so if you can't afford him, I'd probably pay the extra there. Hall, look, I love Hall. He's a no-brainer. Really nice fixture run coming up, and he's seriously offering good attacking potential. And then you've got 2 minutes monster center backs in Konza and Dunk. Both of them have excellent medium-term fixtures, and they're just fully nailed to play every game. So both of them, good fixtures, good minutes, and I think this defense really gives you that winter schedule coverage while also giving you access into some great fixtures. Let's move on to the midfield, and I really like this midfield setup, okay? We've got Salah, Palmer, and Bukayo Saka, who offer you an amazing captaincy matrix in the next 9 game weeks. This draft, it doesn't have Haaland, so you will need a very strong midfield if you're going to go against Haaland, and I think all 3 of these guys are no-brainer picks. If Saka isn't fit for the Forest game, I'd probably go with, who would I go for? I'd probably go for Bruno Fernandes and keep the money in the bank to do the Saka swap whenever he is fit. I've gone for Morgan Rogers on the bench as well. Aston Villa have some great fixtures coming up, including 3 home games in the next 4. So I think Rogers is an amazing enabler, and he's one of the best in the game. I have gone for Gordon, which I think is just a bit of spice. Someone I would consider on wildcard because I do think he's one of the best options under 7.5 million. And with this next run for Newcastle, there's a lot of upside in terms of the attacking potential. I think having him and Isak, if Isak does get an injury later down the line, guess who's on penalties? Mr. Anthony Gordon. So I think it's a very sly and underrated option to go and head to a Gordon in the midfield. But obviously, if you want to keep Mbeumo, you can do that too. But seriously, I'd be considering Gordon for those 2 promoted team fixtures. Now, the final thing we're going to take a look at is the wildcard 12 front line. And honestly, I think this is the strongest front line in FPL right now. If Isak can stay fit through the winter, there's a strong chance he plays 100% of the minutes. And with how good Newcastle's fixtures are up until game week 19, I just think he's a no-brainer. I spoke before about João Pedro and how strongly I rate him. The thing is that JP and Rogers rotate really nicely, so it's a good combination to have as your 7th and 8th attackers. Now, this isn't going to be a popular take, but I also think that Nicholas Jackson should be one of the first names on your team sheet if you're wildcarding this game week. He's returned 9 GA in 11 starts, and Chelsea's fixtures haven't been easy, but 9 GA in 11 starts, that's better output than Isak, that's better output than Son and Foden. So he's basically at a premium level of output in the first 11. His minutes, I think, are going to be excellent. Talking to a few Chelsea fans, there's some slight doubt with Nkunku, but I think he is safe. The problem with Jackson is that he's on 4 yellows, 1 more and he misses a match. But with how appealing Chelsea's fixtures are long-term and short-term and medium-term, it's just, I would go with the risk. You're on wildcard, right? You should be able to deal with, if he misses a match, you should have a pretty strong bench to start with. So I just think Jackson, you've got to have him if you're on wildcard. He's been averaging more non-penalty XGI than Isak this season, and his post-shot XG is much stronger than last season, which indicates to me that he's just finishing really well at the moment, and he's getting the chances too. So I'm actually looking at him for my own team, and I think he can really smash this next run with Cole Palmer feeding him as well. The big question probably for some of you is what to do with Erling Haaland. If you're on wildcard, there's absolutely no chance that I would own him. He's so expensive. And look, I know this dry spell is not going to last forever, but these midfielders have stronger point potential with the clean sheets, the extra point for goal, and how good Salah's doing in the bonus right now. I just think that it's pretty obvious you should be going without Haaland on wildcard. I think that if you do own him and you're not on wildcard, then I would probably keep him for Spurs because it's a good fixture. Romero just went off for Argentina around, I think it was halftime, 50 minutes, something like that. So he might be injured and looking like a good fixture for Haaland, but I would be looking to get rid of him as soon as possible. If you've enjoyed the video, then make sure you hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.